Since its launch in November 2015, Fresh is the Word has been a documentation of sorts for me, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier, as I journey through my love of music and pop culture, as well as using this platform to share my growth on topics important to me, which includes topics involving women's rights, people of color, and the LGBT community through the artistic lens of pop culture. As an ever-evolving podcast, I'm going back to my roots, focusing more on the music artists I'm passionate about from the past and present. From the classic hip-hop artists I grew up on, to the new faces of dance. And from the metal bands I've long appreciated, to the indie alternative artists stealing my heart. Fresh is the Word aims to tell the stories of those who need their contributions to music known, while also exposing my audience to the next artist to watch out for. Sometimes before they blow up.
Fresh is the word.
Welcome to the Fresh is the Word podcast. I'm your host, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier, and like always, we have the freshest of guests for you. The guest for this episode is Detroit-based composer, pianist, and vocalist Vanessa Cuccia to talk about her debut album, This Is a Spell. I came across Vanessa's music earlier this year when a mutual friend shared her single, Ode to Body, on Instagram. I really liked the song, but when I heard the full album and learned more about her, I definitely wanted to meet her and have her on the podcast. This is actually Vanessa's first podcast interview about her music, as she has already made successful waves in the world with her company, Chakrubs, her natural crystal sex toy company, which has been featured on Conan O'Brien, Playboy TV, Nylon, Teen Vogue, among other publications. Cuccia also runs Freak magazine, described as combining frequencies of art, music, and culture through the lens of spirituality. Between her music and the interviews I watched beforehand, I very much related to her experiences that would go into the creation of Chakrubs and into the heart of her music. During our conversation, we talked about her musical beginnings, how all of her projects lend in service of each other, the making of This Is a Spell, along with a track-by-track breakdown, and so much more. This Is a Spell is definitely one of my favorite albums of 2021. And Vanessa Cuccia is a wealth of positive energy and spirit. So after this small break, let's get into this interview with Vanessa Cuccia. And now a brief word from our sponsor. Founded in 2015, 20 by 20 Apparel seeks to bring original tributes to pro wrestling's classic arenas, moments, and events. They look to spotlight the biggest, smallest, strangest, and strongest. They also provide an array of services. In the world of wrestling, where there are hundreds of shirts, promotions, flyers, social media accounts, and ads, don't get lost in the sea of parody shirts and display fonts. They can provide professional graphic design services at a reasonable price. 20 by 20 also hand screen prints all of their tees in-house. If you would like to discuss a possible run of tees, posters, koozies, foam fingers, even Zubaz, then drop them a line. Go to 20by20apparel.com. That's the number 20, the letter X, the number 20, apparel.com. And we're back. And like always, we have the freshest of guests for you. And joining me now is Vanessa Cuccia. How you doing today?
Good to be here. Good to be here. Yeah, thank you for having me. Fresh in the flesh. I was thinking, in person is best.
Yes. So I remember a while back I came across your music through a friend of mine, Angela Wisniewski, who a shop owner of Coup d'etat in Detroit. Go check that out. And she posted one of your joints before your album came out, and I was like, oh, this is cool, so I followed you and continued. And then like the album came out, and I was like, I gave it a listen. I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool and everything. And then I was like, that was very interesting. So I went back to it. A lot of times I don't go back to records, but when I go back to listening to a record, I'm like, yo, this is really dope. And it's like, it's different than, what really comes across my radar, And so, and then also you have your own company. You're doing all these different things. You have your you got Chakrubs, which is a sex toy crystal company.
Yeah.
And you write also about sex and everything. You have Freak magazine. You have all this different stuff, and I was just like, yeah, this woman is very interesting. I got to talk to her about this. I watched a bunch of other interviews that you did, and the funny thing is like a lot of things you were talking about yourself. I picked up in the music before even learning about that.
Cool.
How did sort of your, education, your life, in regards to, sex education and whatnot, and just life experiences, how does that, like dig into your music? How does that influence it?
I think it's all been a part of my own evolution for a really long time. I feel like the music and my business, Chakrubs, is so intertwined. And through Chakrubs, I studied like energy centers and the chakra system. And something that I've learned and believe in is that our throat chakra and our sacral or our sex chakra are connected. And so when you the sacral chakra is like where you're cultivating a lot of creative energy, and the throat chakra is where it gets expressed. So if you spend time to really activate that center, you're going to be expressive basically. And so I think I've always been involved in the arts. When I got a scholarship to a cultural arts high school, so I spent like half of my day in school going to a theater arts program, but I would like cut class to be in the music room and play piano. So I was like always like in that world. And then life happens, and I think I picked up some traumas on the way, just like I think that we all have. And I think it blocked a really big part of who I was, and I took it upon myself to kind of correct that, because I knew that there was something that was lacking. I wasn't expressing who I was fully. So I think through Chakrubs, that was my answer to myself. And now that it has been such a part of my life, that I've gotten a certain amount of success through it and worked with my own products to the point where now I've come this like full circle where I can express myself through art again. And so This Is a Spell is like the first album that I've had that I feel like this is the start of who I am, freely expressing who I am wholly.
Right. That was something that I really got from you when I was listening to you talk about your life in these other interviews, was that you started wanting to just like do music, and you were like, you went out to LA and you were like just trying to make music, but then like it just wasn't working out. So it looks like all the things in your life needed each other for them to to fully start to progress or be created. How did each of the things sort of lend itself to the other?
Like you said, I moved out to LA, and that was to pursue acting, to pursue music. I actually got kind of a weird record deal when I was in LA, and like moved up to Santa Cruz, and was in this like really bizarre scenario. I had already thought of the concept for Chakrubs, but was discovered through like some singles I had put out musically, and by this person who was starting what it is now is like a subscription-based record company. So like you pay a monthly subscription, you get records and stuff. I don't know. And but back then they were doing like kind of a what would be like a Spotify or Pandora, and they wanted me to be like one of the first featured artists on the sister like label that they were creating through this. I don't know. Like I said, it was weird, but it was like the company was based in a house where just basically a bunch of hippies lived and like played music, and I was, you know,
That's basically all the record labels out in LA.
yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, so it was one of those, and the owner of the company, I was dating also, of course, like just, I don't know, weird scenario. I was dating him, but he like was giving me this record like deal, but he also like really liked my company idea and wanted to help me with that, though everybody in the house like worked for his company, you know, but all the women in the house and like everybody also was like getting super into my business, that I think he got a little bit like you know, like a little bit like what he said to me, you have to choose if you're going to do music or if you're going to do Chakrubs. And so I basically was like, no, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to do it without you and without your funding. So that's what like really pushed me to break that off. I started Chakrubs, and it's been a long time, but that's like how I funded my record.
Yeah, it's dope. Yeah. It's dope that you were able to, you know, build something to be able to, you know, really be able to fund your arts and everything.
Yeah.
How did that feel from an artistic standpoint, that you were able to make something else in your life come true? You know, be able to have that freedom of being able to make your own music and put it out, and having the money to do what you wanted to do with it.
I think if it feels really good when I have that perspective towards it, like, okay, I did this, you know, through funding myself. I'm able to do this because of a dream that I followed.
You don't got to answer nobody. You know?
I don't have to answer to anybody, but there is like this other part of it that sometimes comes into play in my mind of like, yeah, it's really cool to do things on your own, but it's also really cool to do things with people.
Yeah, I know that. I'm like really bad at like this is the like the most I'm doing with people.
Yeah.
But everything else I do by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get burnt out so easily.
It's good, yeah, because it's good because like, yeah, I'm a CEO of a company that's successful. Like, I've been in Forbes, I've been in Cosmo, I've been on Oprah, I've been in Conan, you know, so it's like I'm there, and it's awesome, and I don't answer to anybody but myself. But with music, it's a different thing than like having a product that you package and sell, and having like a you know, ad for it. It's like this really different kind of thing where I don't want to just make music by myself and also be like the creative director and do the videos and have like, you know, make the marketing for it and have all of that within me.
You want to do it with other people,
but I want to do it with other people too. You know, it's more fun, and to make music with other people is fun. And I'm more after like the experience than like the end product.
But see, you're in a good place to do that now, because you don't have the pressures on yourself to like make the right decisions all the time about who you're gonna. You know, you can go, you know, make music with whoever. You know, just. You know, and have it be about that, making music, you know.
That's what I want.
Have it more pure than, you know, than everything just being a business.
100%. Yes.
You know, like music can be that, where everything's a business transaction. You know, and everything's very transactional, you know, instead of like artistic.
That's what I want, and I think like the artistic part of it, the experience, is like what I'm more drawn to. I did have a producer on this record, Trevor Millay, who is like the frontman of the band You. I don't know if you have heard of them, but they were big like back in the day. And anyway, so he produced this record, and he had that same mentality, and the way that we worked on this record was so like it had that feeling of where we're in the lab, we're creating something, we're feeling the energy, and we got, you know, musicians to play live on the record instead of like before trying to find a producer. It was all, which is fine, but not what I was looking for. It's like, okay, I'm sitting on the couch behind them, they're at the computer, they're moving the things, and they're just like not engaging with me, not connecting with me. This process was very like, we spent so much time together. He understood who I was and like created the sound based on what we were experiencing together and like how much he knew me. So that's what I'm after with all this, is like that kind of experience.
Expanding on that, what was the the studio sessions like? What was the first thing you did for this record? What's your method of like creating music in the studio?
So it started with a one track, the record, Ode to Body. And it was just something I wrote on the piano. I have a baby grand at home, and I had this song, and it started with, Trevor and I just deciding to produce this one track. He came over and he had a drum machine, and for all of the tracks on the record, but this was like the starting point, it was him on the drum machine and me playing the piano and singing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, like 100 times, like until something new would come. I would change maybe like a little something, and he would find variations with the drums, and he would add like a synth or something. And that's how a lot of it started. It was me writing a song on the piano, and then like us really just being in the midst of that song just like for hours on repeat, and then depending on like what we felt it needed, we would get like a violinist, we have a trumpet player, guitar, bass on the record, so it was just like gathering those musicians and then kind of repeating that, where it was like they would come into a session and we would find the place for whatever instrument that was.
Right. Right. So, did a lot of the ideas that were on the record, were there something that you came up with?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor and I both, like, we worked so well together with that. It was like I think initially we would like think of something like, oh, we wanted to sound, there was like so many influences that we had for each track that almost like never really stayed where it was like the first part. But yeah, we, the vision for it like became really clear like as we went, and it like turned out to be a cohesive record at the end, which like was surprising for me, but like, yeah, somehow like all worked together in the end.
Right. Let's dive into the record and just go song by song, and just just say whatever you want about the making of it, or what it's about. The first track is Gemini, I Wonder.
Yeah, this was one of the last songs that I wrote, but it's the first track, obviously. So the lyrics and the chorus go, it's I wonder how. It's a lot about those thoughts in our minds that are just like a train that you can't stop, and really wanting to get off of that train and take a rest, but I
know those thoughts.
Yeah, so it's that, just like the wondering like what could life be if I didn't have to be riding that train every day. And I kind of can't talk about this one without talking about the last track is also called Gemini, but I Love You. Yeah. And so the thing is that they have the same melody and the same chords. It's the same song, but it's produced differently, and they have the different words. So that one is it's more of a love song, I guess you can say. There's like a bittersweet love song. And so it's called Gemini because it's, that dual way in which I go throughout life, which is like the very like thought, the wonderment, the all in my head, and then the I love you, which is like all in the heart, and it's just like the experience. And so that's why it's titled the same.
why is those songs like bookends of this album?
It just made, I mean, not planned at all. I think that like I love this song. I love the song Gemini, and I wrote I Wonder, the first track first. But I really wanted to say, so I like wrote that track. It was produced and everything, and the chorus again is I wonder, but I wanted to say I love you, I just like wanted to sing that in those words. And through the experience of the record, the words for Gemini, I love you, the last track, came through my relationship with the producer and how it just unfolded, and how it the words for I love you are sing the song you wrote me the night I left you, the one that goes I'm sorry I never said I love you. That was a real part of our relationship. And so that was the last lyrics that I wrote for the record, and the last song that we recorded after we were dating. I guess I should, obviously we had dated during the process of making this record and then broke up. And then those words came out. And so I had to record that like at a moment that we were broken up and like going through so much, but trying to like complete this record. So it just like made sense. It was like the beginning and the end, and it's Gemini. It's two sides of a story. It's, it just made sense.
Right. The next song is So Classic.
Yeah. So Classic. A lot happened the year that I was like finished writing the record, and so Classic, I think a lot of that song is about, it's kind of like a war cry, and also just about how like history repeats itself, and like we have to recognize the time that we're in is so potent, and like, and what it means like underneath it all is that we're just like on this path to fight for this thing that is like, we can't give up that soul of who we are, that march to like freedom. And that's what that's about.
Next one is Devils in Deceit.
Yeah. Devils in Deceit is about a friend of mine. It was inspired by a friend of mine, where we went to a bar one night, and he has like tattoos all over his face, and he has like, this real kind of badass attitude. Well, we were like at a bar one night, and we were like talking about the devil, and I felt like I knew a lot more about like devilish kind of things than he did. And it's like, you look at him and the attitude that he gives off, you think like this man like is a Satan worshiper, and it's just like, or that's like what it came, how I judged him, and how he would judge me is like, I'm just like this, like, I don't know, nice lady that like doesn't know shit about shit, who's like naive about these things. But so that song is really kind of me poking fun of my friend who seems to be so hard, but it's kind of like me saying like, you don't know me, like I'm harder than you, like I know what's up, like I dance with the devil, like, and the devil's in deceit, like you wouldn't think it, I guess, from like looking at certain people, like you never know.
The next song is Ode to Body, and you also had a video for this.
Yeah, I made the video during quarantine. It was just like all done myself, and it was just me on the piano, and like I did like a split of me like coming out of my body, naked, dancing on the piano. And I mean, that's the song that like started everything. That's the song that like I said, I started with Trevor, and that song is a ode to body. It's an ode to sex in a lot of ways, and to take something that like a lot of people find crass. Like in the song I say, fuck me like you love me, fuck me like I'd fuck me. And I think, the word fuck is an abrasive word, but in this song, it comes to be romantic, and so that was like this really important thing for me to explore, of like these concepts, though they're jarring at first, like it can be really beautiful with the right perspective, and that's like song is hopefully like offering that perspective to people.
The next one is Hearts Don't Break.
Yeah. The line I love from that is the first one. It's hearts don't break, they are muscle, they're not bone, they rot like meat when they are left alone. It's just a sad a sad song. But a lot of influence from just a breakup. I was with somebody, and they had a drug issue, and I guess I kind of lost them to their addiction, and so it's it was just based off of that, and it's kind of a lullaby to me. It's kind of Celtic in the style, but also very dreamy, and it gets like weirder as it goes, and I think that's just how kind of that relationship felt. And but it's, like I said, this lullaby that like helped soothe me when I was alone, like going through that breakup with this person that like left, I couldn't speak to, while he was like getting treatment, and just feeling like that kind of loneliness. And also it's about how like there's a certain kind of grief that comes with losing somebody who knows how to touch you in the right way. I think many relationships, it's not something that's spoken about a lot, is that like we miss a person, but we miss also how they know how to touch us, and that's not something that's easily come by. And
Right.
so that's an important part of loss, just like any other part that doesn't get talked about, I don't think.
Yeah, throughout this album, I just noticed that there's just like, it goes in these waves of the sounds, but the like, it might sound like a love song, but then you might get a little weird with the sound and whatnot. How does that sort of like, how does it tie into the emotion of the song?
Everything is just, everything is pure emotion. And like, speaking about it, it's just like, in Devils and Deceit, for example, like at the end of the song, I'm just screaming in tongues, like in the background, and like singing opera, like over it. And I'm screaming and just like trying to, let out this like emotion of just being a mad woman, just like letting myself go there. And I think like that's what I want. Like that's my call to whatever this is. Like I want to express all these things that are within me. And so when I write, it's about that. It's about emotion. And then like there's a lot of samples added from Rosemary's Baby, that movie, and then like some Alan Watts samples are in there too, just to like further drive those visuals that accompany these emotions that I can't always express in words, but that's what the music does, I think, pretty well.
The next song is Keep Dreaming.
Yeah, so this one, this was just like a little peek into what it was like the whole year of writing this record and producing the album. Keep Dreaming is an interlude, and I was just playing piano and singing like I often do, and Trevor was taking a shower, and so I heard the water going, and I was just playing by myself and singing and dreaming, and just saying like little words here and there. And I didn't know, but Trevor was he came out of the shower and was recording me on his phone. And it was, just like, a little window into what our life was like at that moment. It's like you hear the shower going, it kind of sounds like rain, and I'm just playing and creating on the spot. I can't play that song if you asked me to.
It was just a pure moment.
It was just a moment, yeah, that we decided to add. And I think like, yeah, it's like one of the most played or something, I think, on the album. So
that's a cool
funny.
little thing in there.
Yeah.
The next joint is Dead Horse.
Dead Horse is inspired by The Godfather and other movies that choose the symbol of a dead horse to represent something. And so what it's about is using material things to portray your spirituality, and how that's not a smart move. I sing the choruses in Italian as like an homage to like my ancestry and everything. And it's also just like, yeah, the horse on the album cover, like that artwork, like that's what kind of inspired the title of the song. And it kind of worked from like, okay, like, because that's like a little horse figurine that fell and broke, and like the term dead horse just came into my head, and then like all the other inspiration for that happened after. So
nice. The next joint is Flowers in My Hair.
I was never happy with a man. I was never happy with the flowers in my hair. Tell me, do you understand? It's just about never being happy with a man. And never being happy as that, like, you know, that image of like a pretty girl with flowers in her hair. And yeah, there's some like hidden messages in that song. I use like numbers to express a lot in that song. But yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
And next joint is Stick Around.
Yeah, Stick Around is I have a video coming out for that soon. It's going to be an animation by Count Mac, Von Taormina, who is like a brother. He's been my sister's boyfriend for like 6 or 7 years now, and he's like making an animation. It's that is a party song about it's about a party, but metaphorically I think it's like about us living in this world and questioning if we want to stay or not. You know, people that like have it's a party song, but it's about suicidal ideation, I suppose. Yeah. And it's just like telling somebody like to stay, because something's good. Something good is about to happen, and it's just like that message. Better, yeah, it's about like if you like stick around, like something's going to turn up, and like the song turns up.
Right. And we already talked about the last song on the album, Gemini, I Love You. Yeah. So, how did you feel once like this album was all done? It was mixed, mastered, it was a complete thing, what was sort of that feeling?
When I heard everything together, it was like a mind-blowing thing. It felt so good. When I was hearing everything individually, there was so many like questions that came up, and so many just like, uncertainties about everything. But this was such a process, because not only was it like making a record, I like opened a studio with a producer to try to finish the record that we had to shut down because of the pandemic and everything. And it was just like all these, in the relationship was like, went to shit, hell and back, so it was just like all these things. So hearing the record be finished and knowing that like we just like stuck it out and created this thing was definitely a really great feeling. It felt really good, and it felt like it still feels like I don't know what to do with it. It feels like this kind of thing where I love it so much and it's so special to me, and it's kind of like this, like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's why it's like it's called This Is a Spell. Like there's something in here, but I don't know like how that's going to materialize.
Right.
So it's like a mystery.
What do you hope your listeners get out of listening to your music, listening to this album?
I hope that they go into like those various crevices of their emotional body and find something that needs tending to. I think that's like, I try to evaluate and explore those parts of us that like, you know, we repress. And I think that I hope that like through listening, even if it's not a conscious thing, that people get in touch with something that has been stuck within them or buried deep down that they can like, you know, bring to the surface.
What did you get out of, you know, making this record? You know, what's something that, you know, the person you were before making this record, like, what did that person learn during it? You know, what'd you get out of this?
Oh my God. I mean, I learned that I have something that really needs to be expressed and can be, and that my inkling that I did is validated, and there's nothing that will prevent me from doing this again. It just like, this is what I need to do. And I know that now through this, like humbly, I feel like I found something that makes me great. And it's, you know, that is what I need to honor and what I want to inspire other people to honor within themselves, whatever it is.
You know, what is a lesson that you learned that anybody listening to this, especially, you know, maybe young girls listening to this, you know, that they can sort of project into their own lives?
I think already I feel like there have been some young women and girls to share the song Ode to Body. I think that that's really resonating with a lot of young women, which I wanted. And for that, you know, when the line says, "This is my fucking body," and at face value, like within the context of the song, the meaning is a little different, but that line by itself, which is being shared, is just like, yeah, taking ownership of who you are, and saying it proudly and letting it be completely expressive of whatever it is you want to be.
Right. You know, do you you know, before we, you know, as we wind things down, like, do you have any final thoughts about, you know, just, you know, this album, making music in general, just anything that, you know, we maybe didn't touch on? You know, is there anything just that pops in your head that you want to express?
I think that what's really important now, and what I want more of for myself and for other people, is to do like kind of what we were just saying of it's time to not be afraid of our own artistry and to express it hard right now. Like, like express whatever it is and not to be afraid. I mean, this whole year, like making an album with everything that was going on, there was questions of who cares? Yeah. Like, who the hell cares? Like, so what? Like, like
all this is happening. I'm just making music.
Yeah, what? But like, what it comes down to, I think, is that like the only thing that makes sense to me in this world, in this life, is art that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
So it's just like,
and if everybody thought that way, there would be nothing, because there'd be like, everybody be comparing themselves to like really, you know, big things that are happening.
Yeah, we're
big
up
injustices,
yeah.
You know, whatever. If everybody does these little things, to express themselves, it matters.
Making art is the best thing that you could do for your mental health.
Yes.
And I want everybody to do it and to know that like people want to see that, people want to see you expressing yourself. If there's haters and everything, like you have to, be deaf to that. But I think that we get such an immeasurable joy from people expressing who they are, at their soul level. And we need to like push through all those thoughts that get in the way.
Yeah, I'm definitely aware and very I deal with that so much.
Yeah.
And it's bullshit.
It's
and
such bullshit. Yeah, but we all go through it, and it's like it's harder and harder, but we have to like keep going. We have to keep going and just keep making shit. It's like the only thing that like I feel makes sense.
Is there anything else you do besides, making music to just kind of do self-care, keep, help with your mental health?
I write on my typewriter every morning. So it's like I have my tea or my coffee and like a little breakfast, and I'll sit at my typewriter and I'll just write whatever comes to mind, like all my thoughts, like even if it's like my cat walks by and like I see my cat, like I'll write like Peter Happy looks so cute, like whatever. Like it's just like a stream of like any thoughts that come to mind, and that's been really, really helpful for me when I do that, and just to like get it out on paper. And I hate my handwriting, so it's like journaling with pen and paper. Like I'll just like hate my handwriting.
I hate handwriting too, and my hand just instantly cramps up. It's just not.
It doesn't like, so I'm like writing and then I'm like hating my handwriting and not wanting to do it anymore.
Yeah,
and like
same,
I don't want to like be at a computer where it's like I'm on a screen. So that's why it's like the typewriter has become this like really valuable tool for me to like just be to journal consciousness and write without like those distractions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, it was great talking with you. This is like I said, I'm a big fan of the album, and just you as a whole. Like, you're a very impressive woman, just doing all these things, and I gotta talk with her. Where can people go online, get more information about, the album and everything that you're doing?
So, there's gonna be a few things here. So, for my album, it's called This Is a Spell, and it's on, all the streaming platforms. I will also be having a vinyl release soon.
Yeah, I really want this on vinyl.
Yes, I'll send you a vinyl when it comes out, which will be soon. I'm hoping to also like get a live show together.
Nice.
And everything. But yeah, so right now it's on streaming platforms, but I will have it up for sale as well. My Instagram is Vanessa_Cuccia. And then for my company, Chakrubs, it's just at Chakrubs, Chakrubs. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm also Freak Magazine. I'm also, whatever, like other kinds of little things that I do, but they're not as important.
Yeah, everything's important, but you'll see them all, like, if you just go to her Instagram.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's there.
Yeah. All right, it's been great talking with you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Fresh is the Word podcast, hosted and produced by myself, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier. Empowered by Anchor at anchor.fm/Fresh is the Word. Fresh is the Word theme music provided by Steve O. You can find more of his productions at iamsteveo.bandcamp.com, and that's EYEAMSTEVEO.bandcamp.com. Fresh is the Word is available on all major streaming platforms. Please rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. If you want to support Fresh is the Word, please consider pledging via Patreon at patreon.com/Fresh is the Word. Follow Fresh is the Word on social media on Twitter at Fresh is the Pod, on Instagram at Fresh is the Word Podcast, and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Fresh is the Word. For more information about Fresh is the Word and our other podcasts, Breaking Records and Renaissance Soul, and a collection of pop culture articles and reviews, please visit freshasthepodcast.com. Thank you for listening and your support. Goodbye and good night.
Fresh is the word.